The amount of unhoused people in America is actually like, it's astronomical to the point of almost being unfathomable at this point. And it's not, you know, we say we have like a housing crisis, but we don't really have a housing crisis in the way that it makes it sound. Building more housing is not going to solve the problem, because the problem is not that there is not enough housing. Even in San Francisco, which is, if you don't know, San Francisco is the second most densely populated city in the United States after New York City. And it is a 7 by 7 mile, like little peninsula square thing. It is a tiny city. It is the most densely populated. In 2021, at the end of 2021, there were 60,000 vacant units. And the reason that nobody can afford to rent those units is because the majority of housing is getting bought up by private equity firms and then rented out for costs that are completely inaccessible to the majority of the population. You know, there's a very real argument to be made that we are no longer living in capitalism anymore. We are living in tech feudalism. I'm definitely not an expert in this area, but there's a creator who has really well thought out video essays on a lot of related topics. She talks about economics in the United States and how it affects culture and vice versa. And she's well documented, well cited, and just well explained. I'm going to tag one of her videos below. Being exposed to the amount of unhoused people in these major metro areas that I have spent most of my life in, like Seattle, Portland, and San Francisco, is nothing new to me. Before I even had a car, when I was just using public transportation to get around, in order to exist in a major metropolitan area like this, you just are constantly wading through communities of unhoused people. It's gotten more and more kind of gnarly and bleak over the years as the opioid and fentanyl crises have skyrocketed and taken over these communities, and in many ways are actively creating these communities. But what I wasn't expecting was noticing, now that I do spend a lot of my time living just out of my car, how many other people are doing that. Like, you are correct that there are a ton of people living out of their car. And I didn't start to notice this until I was outside of these major metro areas, and instead in places that are a little bit easier to kind of like actively live out of your car from. So I do a lot of traveling up and down the West Coast, and I will stop and sleep at different rest areas, at places that are for truck drivers, etc. And if I stay in the same place for a couple nights in a row or return to the same place, I'll start to notice the same vehicles and the same people and realize that those people are also living out of their cars. The number of people I know in my personal life who are actively making this transition to living out of their car is wild. And, you know, it's interesting because this has happened alongside the explosion of like van life, which is something that is really only usually accessible to the van life that we see on the internet, is mostly just accessible to people with a lot of money. And so it's really interesting to see like the rise of van life as a popular choice to make, and the rise of people being forced to move into their cars as their main source of shelter.
Damn, that's heartbreaking. Let's see what the president has to say about this.
People are doing better than they've ever done right now. We have no inflation.
Oh well, better luck next election.
Rent prices being over $1,800 a month. I'm homeless and I live here in my car. It's a compact car, and I'm going to give you a tour and show you around and show you how I live in here. So come on, check it out with me. So starting here on the side, you can get a glimpse inside. Right there is my bookshelf, and underneath there is where I keep all my clothing and other belongings. Down here is where I keep all of my laundry, extra shoes, and things like that. Coming around back here, a lot of you asked about the bed. So the bed is a 3-inch memory foam mattress topper. I do have carpeting underneath there as well for extra support. Over here, I like to keep usually like wet wipes. These are a lifesaver. I get these at the $1.25 tree. And I have about 4 layers of blankets. So if it ever gets cold, right now it is summertime, but when it does get cold, I have plenty of blankets. Here is my cooler, which I get a lot of hate. People say I don't deserve the Yeti because I'm homeless and I should sell it, but I'm keeping it, because it keeps the ice cold for days. I absolutely love it. It has been a life changer, and it was a birthday gift for my 30th birthday last year. Over here, I keep waters. I always try to have an abundance of water because you just never know what's going to happen. On top here, this is where I keep My gym bag goes up here as well. I just put it on the front seat for the tour right now, so it's easier to show you guys around. But this is a cooler bag that I use when I'm delivering for Uber Eats and Grubhub. I have an extra lantern, actually a couple extra lanterns. And then that thing is a, it illuminates like stars and the moon up on the ceiling at night. I don't always use it, but sometimes if I'm in the mood for some ambiance, I turn that on. It's really nice. And then we're gonna go around here actually, and I'm gonna show you what's over here. So this is kind of like what would be my closet. So like I was telling you, underneath the bookshelf, so I have a ton of books. I love to read. I have a lantern. This is rechargeable. I have 2 of these fans, which are rechargeable. As you can see, this one's charging right now. I have another one over here, and they are amazing. Each of them lasts about 12 hours each on the medium setting, which is more than enough airflow. And what I'll do is I'll put this one here and then that one on that side at night, and so that way I have plenty of airflow, and I crack the windows just a little bit to keep the flow going. So over here I have all of my clothing underneath here. So in these bags here, that's like a Trader Joe's bag, just a regular backpack. Then I have a couple bins with clothes. These are sweaters and things like that. Down there I have some emergency water, just random stuff that you would have in your closet that you don't always use. Over here's where I keep my tools and things like that. This is what I use to wipe down the car, keep the dust and dirt off of it. And yeah, that is pretty much how I live in the car.
That's a damn shame. At least we have the Patriots at Fox News to tell us the truth.
Fox News alert here as we take a look at the markets. And the U.S. stock market continues to hit record high after record high. You're looking at a fresh 300-point gain on the Dow right now, hitting its highs of the session. The S&P 500, which is a snapshot of the broader U.S. stock market, is hitting an all-time high, surpassing the previous record set 2 years ago. So, wow, there continues to be a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of optimism in the U.S. stock market.
This is a damn shame in the wealthiest nation on the face of the earth. See, here's the thing. Trump is in line when he says the economy is doing great. Fox News, CNN, none of them are lying when they say the economy is doing great. It's doing great for the billionaire class. You know, we no longer have a country for the people, by the people. No, we have a country for the billionaires, by the billionaires. Like this is ridiculous, and you can tell it's not a problem to, you know, the Republicans or the Democrats. It's not a problem to either one of them. It's a problem to the Republican voters. It's a problem to the Democratic voters. But there appears to be some type of disconnect between the voting class and those that we vote for. Why? Because there are no poor Republican politicians. There are no poor Democratic politicians. You ever seen a poor senator, Democrat or Republican? Man, they got us fighting against each other while they dividing the cake up, man, and it's really, it's sickening and it's sad. Like, the highest tax rate for the greatest generation was 94%. So it would have been impossible to create Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg's during the greatest, all of those billions, soon to be a trillion, that's consolidated in the hands of one individual. Nah, the government back then, when they looked out for the common man, hey, they made it illegal. So how it worked back then was, yeah, you were allowed, you could still make $1 billion, but at a certain point, when you made over a certain amount of money, 95% of every penny you made was taxed and redistributed to the working man. And because it was taxed, hey, it was in the best interest of the CEO plantation owners to share the wealth. That's why it was possible for you to have one income family, someone coming out of high school. You didn't need a advanced degree like I have. You could come straight out of high school, work and be able to provide for your family, be able to put a roof over your head, be able to feed yourself and afford transportation. But that is no longer the case. They demonize the unions. They demonize collective bargaining for the working class, and they were able to convince the middle class Americans that unions and collective bargaining is a bad thing. Well, you see the results of it. You see the way your grandparents lived, and you see the way you lived. You see the way you're living. You think you're gonna be able to afford a house with a single income? Hell nah. These folk can't even afford apartments. And a lot of people say, oh, why don't they go get jobs? Listen, man, it, anytime you have someone that's working 40 hours a week and they still have to be on food stamps or they still living in their car, it's not because they're lazy. It's because the system is broken. It's because the reason we had a minimum wage, it was because the minimum wage was supposed to be the wage that would guarantee you a minimal housing, nutrition, and transportation. You know, that was the minimum wage, a living wage, the minimum wage that it would take for you to make it. We no longer have that. All of the gains that we see in the stock market, all the gains that we see in the economy, it's been consolidated by the wealthy at the top. We need to stop voting for all these millionaires and billionaires. We need term limits. There is definitely a problem with this system. And listen, I'm not homeless. I'm not uneducated. I don't do physical labor. I'm a small business owner, right? I own real estate, but I'm not a heartless individual. Why? Because I wasn't born with a silver spoon. I know what it's like to go hungry at nights. Maybe some of y'all need to feel that rumbling in your stomach in order to initiate or trigger the compassion inside of you, right? But I'm not gonna keep going on and on about this. This is a Christian nation. We're compassionate, right? We have these big mega churches, but we got people sleeping in their cars. Yeah, I feel you. Hey man, y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Go ahead and hit that like button to send a signal to YouTube's algorithm that I'm doing a good job. Once again, I'm not out here begging for you to buy me a cup of coffee or pay for any subscription or anything like that, man. I'm giving it to you the way I get it. And until the next time, it's nothing but love. I wish y'all nothing but peace, happiness, and prosperity. I'm out.